In this video, I will be reacting to the first trailer that just dropped for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, sequel to 28 Years Later that just felt like it dropped a week ago, honestly. It is being directed by Nia DaCosta, written by Alex Garland, and cinematography by Sean Bobbitt, different from Anthony Dodmanto, who did the cinematography for 28 Years Later. And we'll go into that a little bit later in this video. And music by the same composer that did the Joker movie. Interesting stuff. So let's get right into it.
Trying to predict the future is a discouraging and hazardous occupation.
So right off the bat, you could feel the change of the cinematography. It is weird to say that. I mean, we're 7 seconds in. But if you remember from 28 Years Later, we had the chromatic aberration. It was like this weird RGB edge distortion. And that was due to, I guess, the lenses that they used, the processing power from the iPhone camera. They didn't just use the iPhone camera. They also used other cameras, including a drone. A lot of times you could check the behind the scenes for that. So the look of this is very different, and also it's not as saturated and teeming with life. So it is a different look. It kind of reminds me of Candyman. I don't know if Nia DaCosta really, she probably had a lot of say in the matter, but it kind of reminds me of like that color grading of Candyman probably.
In fact,
this is cool, dude. I love the flashback or the opening titles for the, like, in 28 Years Later. Just hearing that soundtrack from Young Father's Promised Land. Goodness me. I honestly felt like that topped the opening for 28 Weeks Later. I know that's kind of because, like, that movie, everyone loves that movie just for like the opening. Not the rest of the movie actually, but for the opening, yeah, everybody loves it for that. So I wonder if we're kind of getting the same flow here, if this is just going to be another flashback. I also wonder if this bald guy right here is Kelson. I mean, maybe that's a stretch. We do see later on in the trailer that there's going to be like some photos. So I guess this is like where he lives. And I'll get into some critiques a little bit later on.
it may not even exist at all.
So that's Dr. Kelson. And that's where Isla and Spike first met, like in front of the, you know, if you recall from the first 28 Years Later, when they were running away from Samson.
Oh, what is this? I cannot
Interesting song.
see. Oh, I am.
See, the lighting is really different. This isn't so much like 28 Weeks Later. If you guys recall when in the opening, if you guys have seen 28 Weeks Later, you could check it out on Hulu. It's very grainy and dark, but I felt like they did that through post-production. They use traditional cinema cameras rather than the Canon XL1 that was used on 28 Days Later. And then again, in 28 Years Later, they used iPhone. So yeah, I mean, I really like how courageous and bold 28 Years Later was with its filmmaking and editing. It's not for everybody. I thought personally it's cool. I feel like this movie's probably going to stray away from that. And I could just tell from this dark scene. Dr. Kelson probably with his wife. And then right here, probably grandma with a baby. I wonder if he had a baby at one point. I mean, this is really nice. He's a beautiful character. In the first movie, I thought he was going to be sort of like this Marlon Brando, Apocalypse Now type. Rather, he's this very father figure, stoic, a really beautifully written character, I feel. So I am so psyched to get more into this guy's mythos.
None can excel.
Many
Okay. I mean, this is pretty, I don't know where this is. This is probably the back of the train or something. I mean, this is a pretty safe spot to live. I was wondering, where does this guy live? he couldn't possibly live in the bone temple itself because it's out in the open. And that's one critique I have. It's like there's this ravine that I cannot believe that the infected, they can't effectively cross that ravine. I mean, they're going to call it like a river or something. And there's like high tides and stuff like that. Not the same from the island, the Holy Island. It seems way more of like an easier go at just crossing it. So this makes sense that, okay, so he's here and then the bone temple's over there.
Many of the things we take for granted will one day pass away completely.
I open the door
And that's,
of heaven and hell.
Samson. You could tell from here. I mean, the cinematography is completely different. You could tell. So Sean Bobbitt, he's done some of my favorite movies, like The Place Beyond the Pines with Ryan Gosling, or 12 Years a Slave, remarkable movie. Old Boy, Spike Lee's version with Josh Brolin. So he is a talented cinematographer. It is just distinctly different than 28 Years Later and 28 Days Later. 28 Weeks Later, at least they tried to do stuff with the cinematography to make it choppy, sort of like 28 Days Later. And anyway, that was being produced by Danny Boyle at the time. And I think Danny Boyle shot the opening sequence at the cottage. So, you know, Danny has a very distinct editing style because he's behind, you know, he's in the chopping block, directly involved. And he's also very involved with cinematography. He's worked plenty of times with Anthony Dodd Mantle, and they have this synergy going on. So everything, you know, is fused together really well with the editing and then also the cinematography. So here it's like, I don't think we're going to, I mean, this is a trailer, so we can't really tell how it's going to be cut, but the way it's shot, to me at least, is very different than what Anthony Dodd Mantle will do. And it's not necessarily bad. It's just, I do really like that style.
When that time comes, men will no longer...
I'm so glad we got a close-up of the eyes. If you guys recall, go search a picture of the eyes like from 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. And I always felt like that was one of the weakest design flaws for the infected, because the way how it looks very fake. It kind of reminds me of the Blade movies or something, like they could be vampires or whatever. Like, this is actually cool. It is still kind of weird. Like, how will the irises change the color after being infected? You would think like here there would be like very bloodshot, and then this would remain blue or green or brown. That's what I thought that they were going to do before even 28 Years Later came out, because I knew they were trying to like redo the infected. But this is like a really good close-up shot of it. And it is actually really haunting. I mean, these are sclera contacts, probably. Well, of course. And so, yeah, we do have, like, if you look here, there's some browning from the blood, or at least this shows us that he probably has like a liver disease or something. And he's way more veiny, too. I don't know if he was always veiny, but this guy is like really veiny compared to 28 Years Later. And that could be probably because of the way it was shot, but we get to see more details. And then also interesting, I wonder if they tried to calibrate the iodine coloring, because in 28 Years Later, he seemed very like, and they really went through the ringer with just trying to figure out, okay, what shade of this would work really well. Because if you go too brown, it's gonna look like shit. If you go too red, it's gonna look like blood. So I wanted to recalibrate that just because of the LUT that they're using, or because of, you know, the color grading or cinematography. And then the font change we see here.
We may have diseases.
See, is that Samsung?
And barbarism.
Ah, we get the Jimmies, and they're in full garb. Yeah, You could see them a lot more clearly here. Definitely, this movie feels they definitely changed the look. So you get the, you know what I mean? So we get to see more details. It doesn't seem as chaotic. I mean, and again, this is just a trailer, but at least we get a really clear look at these. And I wonder, is this their hideout? And I wonder where that may be. And we see some supplies here. Like, it kind of reminds me of like school supplies. Maybe they're still, I mean, this is probably some warehouse. We get this drilling machine here. They're probably still stuck in their childhood phase. It's a really odd thing going on. Jimmy. This kind of reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What are they eating? Just grass? What food would they find? And then we also see Spike, probably with a wig. This kid better run from these people.
The whole world will cease to make any sense.
I forgot her name, so you guys could let me know in the comments what her name is. I remember she was in Solo, a Star Wars story, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And if we see from her face here, I mean, there were some of the actors, they posted on their Instagrams while, like, after the movie came out, and I did notice that there's this upside down cross. So what's interesting enough is, what is the blooding for this group? Because Spike went through a blooding, which, if you guys don't know, blooding is like killing, you know, your first animal or something, right? So he had to kill an infected, but now he's a part of this group, and I wonder if there's going to be some really messed up shit that's going to happen here for his first blooding. So this I seen a set photo for. I just wanted to point that out there. I seen a set photo, and there was, I believe it was just this car. So it's crazy, like CGI and stuff, how perfect it is.
Look at the incredible
so they make it to the Bone Temple. Oh, that's not Samson. So they make it to the Bone Temple. So Spike probably was coerced into telling them where the Bone Temple is, or maybe they need a doctor, or maybe Jimmy's like tricking Spike and saying, oh yeah, we need a doctor or whatever. Maybe someone there in the group is pregnant or whatever and is having a miscarriage.
Look at
Up to no good, this guy. So, I mean, clearly this man has to die. You could just tell how different everything is because it's not as saturated. But I thought at first that was Samson, but that's not Samson. Because Samson grabs this guy. So I guess it's just a random guy. See, Samson grabs his face. So we're in for like a gory scene right here, probably. Yeah, he's just digging into his face. Or unless he's going to affect him. We'll see that later on. So some survivors are running. I wonder, this is from Holy Island. And I also wonder, the Jimmys will have to get word of Holy Island. And I wonder if they actually know about Holy Island. And will the third film culminate in this all-out battle between the infected Jimmys and the Holy Island people? It kind of seems like off balance. In terms of group numbers. There's Samson again. Samson, dude, pull out these arrows. Have you not learned from last time? Pull out these arrows, dude.
and survive.
That wig is so goofy. This is interesting because I feel like the infection is so dangerous to get on you, the blood. And I just love how easy the Jimmys, they kill the infected. That character, they show her a lot. Let's see if she's going to get away from the Jimmys somehow or have like a disagreement. And I wonder, like, this gate, where does this, what compound or something does this belong to? Is this the Jimmys like hideout and they unknowingly are trying to break in? Okay. So, or is this a part of Holy Island? No, it can't be a part of Holy Island. Why is this, probably is the end of the movie too, watch, but why is Spike in this compound? Now, this is probably the Jimmy's hideout.
And yet, even greater changes
Huh. So this guy got infected. And she slits this guy's throat early on in the trailer. There appears to be a weapon here. Is this the Jimmy's weapon? And what is this place? Is this a flashback from the beginning? Because we started with an abundance of life in a train, and now there's a lot of dead people here, and probably Samson is emerging from below these bodies. We also had like a similar scene in Civil War, which was directed by Alex Garland.
Are still to come.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Yeah, this guy is veiny. They changed the makeup. So if you see the behind the scenes for 28 years later, there's this honeycomb pattern that is emerging from the heart area of the chest. And so the thought behind that was like, that's how the infection looks outwards. It was really nasty, but you couldn't really tell because of the way how the movie was shot and the color grading and stuff like that. Here, you can't really tell. You can't really see the honey pattern, but you can see it here. It looks like these pock marks. But now instead, he's just really veiny. Ah. Okay, so does he have did they shave his head to fit the wig? And are they going to do the Glasgow smile? And this is from the poster. I hope he's not infected, dude. I hope he doesn't get infected. But he appears sort of infected, but I hope not. So, Jimmy is here with his arms open, the bone temple. We have some people here, and this looks to me, I mean, this is a great aerial shot, but you could also say it's almost like an eye or something. Cool. And in the font, of course, because the font from the earlier trailers were, it was just very simple. This seems like very pasteurized. They should release this at IMAX. I don't know if you could release the other movie in IMAX, but they should release this on IMAX. Why does he have black teeth? This kind of reminds me, if all you need is the Pyramid Head, like mask or helmet, and he's Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. So that was really, I really liked the trailer. I liked it a lot. I don't think it was as good as the first trailer that dropped. I felt like the first trailer was like, I think it even won an award. So the first trailer was great. The second trailer was really good too. So this trailer wasn't as good to me, but it definitely is effective in what it's trying to show everyone, while also leaning on, people seeing 28 years later, which a lot of people, they seen it. It got good buzz at first. Now people's reviews are skewing left and right about it, but I think I still remain pretty strong with my review. So it says here, expanding upon the world created by Danny Boyle and Alex Garland in 28 years later, but turning that world on its head, Nia DaCosta directs 28 years later The Bone Temple. In a continuation of the epic story, Dr. Kelson, Ralph Fiennes, finds himself in a shocking new relationship with consequences that could change the world as they know it. And Spike's, Alfie Williams' encounter with Jimmy Crystal, Jack O'Connell, becomes a nightmare he can escape. In the world of the Bone Temple, the infected are no longer the greatest threat to survival. The inhumanity of the survivors can be stranger and more terrifying. Interesting. Well, it's funny because Danny Boyle did drop some spoilers because, they really wanted to get the movie financed they wanted to get the third movie financed. They were really relying on what's the box office numbers going to be for 28 years later. And it did good numbers, so it exceeded their expectations, I believe. So, and then we got this, and I'm sure this is going to do pretty good. The day that it's releasing is odd, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Take a look at this image. This image would look very weird to see in holiday or Christmas times. It would be very weird. But releasing it in January 16th, the beginning of the year, is interesting, to say the least. And you know, I believe they shot 28 years later for like, what, 6 months? It felt like really short. I remember when the first set photos released of Aaron Taylor Johnson, and they were filming the end scene. And after that, we waited for like 5 months or so, and then bada bing, bada boom, a trailer came out and stuff like that, and then you had marketing. And they filmed this simultaneously. And of course, Anthony Dod Manto can't be everywhere all at once, right? I mean, they're already stretched thin as is. I mean, imagine how much work the actors have to go through. So yeah, just drop a like if you can, and then also check out my other stuff and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.